which is 362 meters long, 210 meters wide, taller than a 50-floor. The name of this giant ship is Wonder of the Seas, with $1.35 billion, i.e. 1,105 crore rupees, were spent in its construction, with a double capacity of 6,988 guests. And for their sake, there are 2,300 crew members, including world's top-class chefs. The ship has 18 decks, out of which 16 decks are for people only. The remaining 2 giant decks, Peace Luxury, 5-star restaurants, 4 pools, more than 2,800 cubicles, children's water park, playground, full-size basketball court, ice skating wing, surf simulator, 8-high slides, indoor-outdoor movie theater, outdoor aquatic theater, and rock climbing walls are installed. Going here has become a dream of everyone. Time in this wonderful and beautiful city, you have to pay between $800 and $1,300 per day. It will not let you get bored even for a moment. This giant adventure cruise ship is built and operated by an American group called RCI Royal Caribbean. The group has already built 25 ships, and this ship is the 5th largest cruise ship in its class and the largest in the world. RCI's Oasis class includes all ships that have facilities and are 5 times larger than the Titanic in size. After the sinking of the Titanic, the cruise ship industry was completely destroyed, after which no one wanted to risk their life again. But groups like Royal Caribbean managed to convince people through their marketing strategy that people's safety will be their first priority. Dostu RCI awarded the contract to build this ship to a French company, STX France, who had to complete this giant ship within 3 years and deliver it to RCI, which was a big challenge for STX France. The group wanted no member of the ship to feel the vibration or the moving moment of the ship, because there were also pools and clubs inside it. So the RCI group wanted no member of its ship to suffer from motion sickness and seasickness. All would have been impossible without 500 expert engineers and millions of workers working day and night. Ship to its launch date, there were many challenges. 22.5. The design of this ship, traveling at a speed of 40 kilometers per hour, is also called an engineering mall. Its include features that were not present in any previous ship, and is built to design the ship in such a way that the people will not be able to know the moment of the ship while enjoying it. In the model of this giant cruise ship, STX, it took 2 years. In other words, out of the 3-year period, he had already completed 2 of his design years. Now they had 1 year to deliver the ship, and in April 2021, they were to deliver the ship to Russia. Every deadline was exceeded by even 1 day. STX, the group has to pay €2,000 per day for each day. With things in mind, 3D designers presented 210 models of this ship. Out the best model was selected. 2 years had passed in the designing of the ship, and now it was the turn of the regular construction of the ship. One major challenge was now to build the ship, which was a very difficult task. 10,000 iron sheets were ordered every day at the 150-hectare Saint-Nazaire shipyard in France, and where and how big a part would fit was all already designed. It was time to construct this ship properly and accurately. Robotic arms technology was used to cut these thick sheets, from which the pieces of this steel had to be cut according to accuracy and calculation. Otherwise, their 2 years of hard work could have been wasted. It was impossible to do this with the help of manual hands. 450 different chefs were called to build this ship. By cutting and welding them using robotic arms technology, it was used to make distinct and complex chefs, such as bulbous bow. A bulbous bow is called a bulb in marine engineering parlance. It increases the ship's speed in water cuts so that the ship maintains its speed and balance sufficiently because it is circular in shape, so it takes a lot of efforts to make it with the help of sheet. If it is not bulbous, the ship will have to use more engines to travel,
which will cost 4 times more fuel, and ultimate ship tickets will be expensive. This bulbous smell of yesterday was very important. Next came the main and largest part of the ship. That is, of the ship's hull. A ship's hull is that part of a ship, which keeps millions of tons of ships floating in water. It is the main body of the ship. Its design and shape is the most important, because it separates in the sea. According to it, its shape is made so that it tackles the pressure of the sea accordingly. For this giant cruise ship, 170 hill designs were created, and it was regularly tested on the simulator. All this testing was done by installing sensors on a dummy ship. How much will the water force affect the ship's hull? 18 decks, in which all the facilities were to be made available. Where it shines the most, decks and floors of such a giant ship, to assemble separately to each floor, ordered in half and half shape and fitted, because it was impossible to build such a big ship together, so it was built in parts like a puzzle game, the process of assembling this whole ship done at nighttime, and these decks were ordered at night, aimed to assemble this ship into night. The simulation has to work properly. You must have seen it in the movie Iron Man, that when he is making his suit. So to build this model accurately, he uses this 3D simulation technology. This technology is also something like that, and this model of the ship by lights at night could see well, so that each object in its correct place in the assembly, engineers got a lot of help. Now it was the turn of the most important part of the ship, that is, the ship's propellers. That is, when the huge propellers rotate. So not only can you move the ship 360 degrees, rather, there should be no vibration failure in it. That is, these propellers should be zero thrust, and even if it vibrates, so it will have vibration damping, which by bearing the weight of millions of tons of this ship, it had to run not only at a speed of 22 knots, but the sea species also had to compete. The weight of these propellers is 90,000 tons. That is more than 2 Emirates planes, and the height was as high as a double-story building. These giant fans use electricity equal to 5 million watts. You can guess it like this. That's how much power a propeller consumes, as much as a whole Vatican City. These propellers had to be designed as such that the people sitting in this ship do not feel its vibration at all. Therefore, whoever sits in this ship, so they get a stable 5-star hotter vale above Fell's Sea, when it comes to the electricity requirement of Wonder of the Seas. So it was decided to install an entire power station in it, because it is a floating city in which 8,000 people must stay for at least 15 days. Casinos, shopping malls, and movie theaters consumes a lot of power. For this, 6 diesel generators were installed on this ship, which produce 17,000 wall currents. After meeting the engine demand, transformers were installed in it, which by converting electricity into 230 volts, provisions were to be made for the consumption of passengers. The wiring of this entire ship has been done in the presence of very technical and expert engineers, the length of which is about 1,900 kilometers. That is, it can be delivered from the Indian city of Mumbai to Sri Lanka. This ship is full of adventure, and the largest cruise ship in the world, and mostly people come here to enjoy their vacations. This ship takes about 7 days to travel, and providing water to 8,000 people for 7 whole days was also an important task, because fresh water is not only used for drinking but also for cooking pools, etc. Engineers estimate that a person consumes 200 cubic meters of water per day, based on an atmosphere of 1,000 cubic meters per day. And if calculated by adding 8,000 crew members in the ship, so that makes 1,600,000 cubic waters, and that too daily, and people have to stay in this ship for at least 7 days, so this means that this ship must have a storage of 1 crore, 12 lakh cubic meters of water, which was an impossible thing. For this, onboard desalination plants were installed in this ship, who used to heat the water of the sea to make it soft from the heart. But the funny thing about it was that the heat in this whole process was not from electricity. Rather, it was taken from the engine hood of its propellers. The hat that doesn't do any work was first introduced into use, which fulfilled the requirement of passengers' lifetime on this cruise ship. Now it's the turn of this new feature, which was first introduced in MSC Maryvale ship, i.e. electrical ship stabilizers. This is a new technology of the modern age, in which even the movement of the ship does not feel to passengers.